The stars were quiet, too quiet for a galaxy at war. Entire systems had already burned in the conflict between alien empires, and everyone thought they had seen the worst. But no one was prepared for what entered the battlefield on that day. At first, the sensors picked up nothing unusual, only a shadow at the edge of the system. A single object slipped out of hyperspace, large but silent. The alien commanders thought it was just another heavy cruiser, maybe a lost ship drifting from an earlier battle. But then the shape grew clearer on the screens. It was not like their ships, not like anything they had faced before. It was long, black and sharp, as if built to cut through the stars themselves. Across the comms, a whisper started to spread. A Terran warship. The aliens had heard rumors of these ships, ancient stories told by veterans who had faced humans long ago. They called them dreadnoughts, floating nightmares created not to defend but to erase. Yet most dismissed the tales as exaggerations, old war myths meant to frighten young recruits. But now, as the massive silhouette of the ship drifted closer, the fear inside every captain grew. The name appeared on one of the translated scans. USS Blackstar. No greeting, no demand, no warning. The ship said nothing. Its engines burned with a faint, ghostly light, pushing it forward at a steady pace. Alien admirals barked orders to form defensive lines, to surround the lone ship and crush it before it could act. They had numbers. They had carriers, destroyers, and fighters ready to launch. One human warship, no matter how large, could not stand against an entire fleet. At least, that was what they believed. The alien fleet spread out, forming a net around the Blackstar. Hundreds of ships moved into attack positions. On the command bridge of the lead alien battleship, officers reported the human vessel was not responding to hails, not charging weapons, not even raising shields. It simply floated, calm and unshaken, like a predator waiting for the first move. The alien admiral laughed. "It's old, it's abandoned. Humans send us a ghost ship to scare us, pathetic." But deep down, even he felt a chill. The moment of silence stretched longer than anyone expected. Every second the Blackstar drifted closer, the more unsettled the fleet became. The alien crews watched the massive black hull, broken only by sharp lines of hidden armor plating and strange weapon ports that glowed faintly as if alive. No one had ever seen such a design. No one dared to guess how much power was hidden inside. Finally, the admiral gave the order. Open fire. The first volley of plasma cannons roared through the void. Beams of light and energy missiles smashed against the Blackstar's hull. Explosions filled the dark, blinding the sensors with heat and fire. The aliens cheered, convinced the Terran ship had been destroyed in the opening strike. Then the smoke cleared. The Blackstar was still there, unmoved, unshaken. Its black armor glowed faintly red where the weapons had struck, but there was no real damage. Instead, the ship seemed to drink in the attack, as if mocking the effort. The alien crews fell silent. Some whispered in fear, and then the Blackstar answered. A single flash of light erupted from its side. Not a missile, not a beam. Something, faster, sharper, deadlier. One alien cruiser exploded instantly, breaking apart into burning fragments. The wreckage floated past the admiral's flagship, showering his screens with red warnings. No one even saw the shot until it was too late. The aliens panicked. More orders came. Fire again. Launch everything. Destroy it now. Hundreds of fighters poured out of carriers, swarming like angry insects toward the Blackstar. They filled space with weapons fire, creating a storm of plasma and rockets. But the dreadnought moved with terrifying grace, rolling slowly, letting the swarms hit nothing but empty void. Its weapons fired again. And again. Each shot found its target perfectly. Fighters vanished in groups. Cruisers tore apart in silent bursts. No wasted energy, no missed shots. Every strike was precise, merciless. By now, the alien admiral's laughter was gone. His hands trembled as he gripped the command chair. The stories had been true. The humans had built monsters in the dark, ships that were not meant to fight wars but to end them. And one of those monsters had returned. Comms from the other ships filled with screaming voices. Some begged for orders, others cried out in fear. A few already tried to retreat, but the Blackstar did not chase, it did not need to. Wherever it turned its guns, ships ceased to exist. The Admiral realized the truth too late. This was not a warship, it was an executioner, and still, it said nothing. No voice from the Terran ship reached them. No message declared its purpose. It simply advanced, cutting silently through the fleet, its engines glowing like cold fire. One by one, the alien ships vanished. One by one, their weapons fell quiet. In the dark void of space, a new silence returned. Not peace, not victory, but the silence of death. And for the first time in generations, the galaxy remembered the name whispered in old, forbidden stories, USS Blackstar. It had arrived, and nothing would survive its trail. The battlefield still burned with the wreckage of destroyed alien cruisers. Pieces of metal floated like broken bones across the silent void, and in the center of that graveyard drifted the USS Blackstar, untouched, unshaken, unstoppable. The alien fleet could not believe what they were seeing. Their weapons had done nothing. Their missiles, plasma beams, and ion cannons, all useless. The Blackstar had taken every hit and returned only a handful of shots, yet those shots had been enough to erase ships that should have survived for hours. The admiral of the alien fleet gritted his teeth. He could feel fear crawling through his crew. He shouted, "Do not stop, overwhelm it, drown it in fire." More orders spread across the fleet. Carriers opened their bays and released wave after wave of fighters. Hundreds, then thousands of small ships swarmed into the void, their engines glowing like stars in the darkness. They spread out surrounding the dreadnought, trying to block every escape, every direction. The Blackstar remained silent. It did not turn. It did not retreat. It only watched. The fighters moved in, firing first. The space around the Blackstar exploded with streaks of plasma fire. Bombs detonated against its armor, wrapping the massive vessel in fire and smoke. Alien pilots cheered, certain that no ship, not even a dreadnought, could survive such an endless assault. But as the smoke cleared, their cheers turned to silence. The Blackstar emerged again. Its black hull glowed faintly where the bombs had struck like steel kissed by fire, but there was no real damage. Its engines burned brighter now, not with strain, but with cold purpose. Then the dreadnought moved. Its massive frame turned with a grace no one expected. The alien fighters scrambled, breaking formation as the giant ship aligned its weapons. Long, glowing lines appeared along its hull, hidden gun ports awakening like the eyes of a predator. The Blackstar fired. The first volley tore through the swarm. Dozens of fighters vanished instantly, consumed by blasts that moved faster than light could reflect. The aliens screamed over their comms, their voices overlapping, panicked, hopeless. The Blackstar did not miss a single shot. Every beam struck true. Then came the second volley. Another cluster of fighters shattered into burning fragments. The Blackstar did not waste time chasing. It simply calculated, fired, and erased. To the aliens, it was as if the ship could read their every move before they made it. The admiral's voice cracked as he gave more orders. Protect the carriers. Pull the dreadnought away. Focus fire on its engines. But the Blackstar was already ahead of them. Its cannon shifted, and with chilling precision it turned its wrath on the carriers. The first carrier exploded in silence, its hangar bay erupting with a fire so bright it blinded the sensors. Hundreds of fighters inside were lost before they ever had the chance to launch. The second carrier tried to flee, engines at full burn, but the Blackstar's weapons followed like a hunter tracking prey. One blast cut through its shields, the second tore it in half. The admiral's heart sank. In less than a minute, 2 of his most powerful carriers were gone, entire wings of fighters erased, thousands of crew lost to the void. He realized then that this was not just a warship. It was a machine built for extermination. Still, he could not retreat. Retreat meant dishonor. Retreat meant the loss of his entire command. He clenched his fists, sweat dripping down his brow, and shouted again, "Surround it! Sacrifice the cruisers if you must! Stop that ship!" The cruisers obeyed. Dozens of heavy warships charged forward, shields glowing bright. As they tried to ram the dreadnought or at least hold it in place, the Blackstar welcomed them. Its engines roared, brighter than before, and the massive ship surged forward with a speed no one thought possible for something its size. It moved through the cruisers like a blade through glass. Its cannons fired, broadside after broadside, each one tearing apart entire sections of the alien formation. Cruisers split in half. Frigates broke apart into fire. Even the battleships, the pride of the fleet, fell one by one. The alien admiral's comms filled with screams. Ships begging for help. Pilots crying out before vanishing in bursts of static. Officers shouting warnings that came too late. The admiral could barely hear his own thoughts. The Blackstar was everywhere at once, its black hull reflecting the fire of the dying fleet. And yet, it never spoke. No message came from the humans. No warning, no declaration, only silence broken by the thunder of its weapons. The admiral finally understood the stories. He had heard the old legends, the ones that claimed humans were not peacekeepers but executioners. Ships like the Blackstar were not made to fight evenly matched battles. They were made to remind the galaxy what humans could do when pushed. One of his officers turned to him, her voice trembling. "Admiral, what do we do? Nothing is working. Nothing can stop it." The admiral stared at the massive black ship on the screen. His throat tightened. His pride, his honor, his fleet, none of it mattered anymore. He could not win. He could not even escape. The Blackstar had chosen its prey, and nothing survived its trail. As the last of his cruisers exploded in fire, the admiral whispered words his crew never thought they would hear. "May the stars forgive us. We have awakened a monster." The Blackstar advanced, engines burning cold and bright, and the first strike was complete. The battlefield was silent now. Only wreckage floated where once a proud alien armada had stood. Thousands of lives ended in minutes. Ships that had taken decades to build now drifted as shattered skeletons across the void. And at the center of it all was the USS Blackstar, still moving forward, slow and steady, like a shadow no fire could touch. For the survivors, there was no sense left in fighting. Small frigates that had escaped destruction retreated into hyperspace, their captains trembling, their voices broken. They had seen something no commander wanted to see: the rebirth of a Terran dreadnought. In distant star systems, the whispers began. Across colonies and alien capitals, messages spread faster than light. First came disbelief, claims of hallucinations, of sensor errors, but the reports multiplied. Different fleets, different worlds, all spoke the same truth. A Terran warship had returned. For many in the galaxy, the name Blackstar meant nothing. Younger officers, fresh pilots, and new rulers dismissed it as just another ship. But among the oldest veterans, among the scholars who studied the forbidden archives, fear bloomed. They knew the name. They remembered the stories buried by governments that wanted the galaxy to forget. Those stories began in the first war with humanity. Decades ago, when the galaxy discovered Earth, they had expected an easy conquest. Humans were young, untested, still crawling out of their solar system. The empires believed the Terrans would surrender quickly, but the humans resisted. They fought with a savagery no one had predicted. Every battle cost more than expected. Every invasion turned into a blood-soaked struggle. And when the empires thought they had broken Earth, humanity revealed something darker. They had built ships like the Blackstar, not fleets, not swarms, just a handful of machines designed with one purpose: annihilation. These dreadnoughts did not rely on numbers. They did not fight fair wars. They were engines of silence, armed with weapons that defied understanding. Their armor absorbed fire, their cannons cut through shields, and their crews fought with the cold patience of hunters. Entire sectors had fallen when the dreadnoughts first appeared. Empires begged for peace not because they lost battles, but because they realized humanity had no limit once provoked. And then, the ships were gone. After the war ended, the Blackstar and its sisters vanished into deep space. Some believed they were dismantled. Others believed they waited, hidden in dark corners of the galaxy, sleeping until they were needed again. Now one of them was awake. On the bridge of a neutral station, alien traders argued over the reports. Some called them lies. Others whispered the name like a curse. A gray-scaled elder slammed his claws on the table. "You fools, do you not see? The humans never abandoned their monsters. They only waited. They only watched. Now, they send a warning." In another system, a council of rulers met in panic. Holograms filled the chamber as voices overlapped. "It is one ship. Surely we can crush it," shouted one. "One ship destroyed 3 fleets in less than an hour," replied another. "If there are more, then we are finished." Fear spread quicker than reason. Armies prepared defenses not against each other, but against the Terrans. Borders that had burned with war only days ago now fell silent. The galaxy's rulers were no longer fighting each other. They were all staring into the dark, waiting for the shadow of another Blackstar to appear. For the humans, no word came. Earth was silent. Terran High Command sent no broadcast, no declaration. That silence was worse than threats. It left every empire guessing, doubting, fearing. If the Blackstar had returned without orders, then humanity had lost control of its own creation. If it did have orders, then something far worse was coming. A survivor from the destroyed fleet drifted alone in his escape pod, recording his last message. His voice cracked, filled with terror. "They told us humans were weak. They told us humans wanted peace. But the Blackstar, it hunts like a beast. It does not fight. It kills. And it will come for you, just as it came for us." That message spread like fire, played on every frequency, translated into dozens of tongues. Civilians whispered it in markets, soldiers muttered it in barracks, children cried hearing it in schools. 3 words became the galaxy's nightmare. The Blackstar lives. On distant worlds, statues of human peace treaties were torn down. Leaders who once mocked Earth now trembled. If one dreadnought could destroy fleets, how many more waited in the shadows? Was the Blackstar the only one, or just the first? The galaxy had no answers. Only silence. And so, the whispers grew louder. Across the stars, in every empire, in every home, the same realization spread. Humans were not peacekeepers. They were not protectors. They were not what the galaxy thought them to be. They were patient slayers, and their shadow had returned. The galaxy did not wait long to answer the Blackstar's return. Panic had spread, but pride still burned in the hearts of empires. They told themselves the first battles were accidents. One dreadnought, no matter how strong, could not defeat the combined will of the galaxy. So they formed a coalition. Enemies who had fought each other for centuries now stood side by side, united not by trust but by fear of humanity. In the silence of deep space, the largest fleet in recorded history gathered. Thousands of warships, carriers, battleships, destroyers, and swarms of fighters assembled in formation. Their engines lit up the darkness like a false sunrise. Commanders boasted that not even a god could stand against such numbers. At the center of their command station, the Supreme Admiral spoke proudly. "This Blackstar is only one ship. We will trap it, surround it, and crush it until nothing remains. The galaxy will not bow to a ghost." Cheers filled the chamber. Confidence grew. Yet deep inside, fear still lingered. Every officer remembered the whispers. Every pilot knew the name. And then the sensors screamed. The Blackstar had arrived. It did not come with allies. It did not bring reinforcements. It entered the battlefield alone, silent as ever, its massive frame cutting through hyperspace and dropping into the center of the armada. For a moment, no one moved. They could not believe the Terran dreadnought had come willingly into their trap. The Supreme Admiral wasted no time. "Close the net. All ships converge." The armada surged forward. Fighters poured from carriers like rivers of fireflies, filling the dark with streaks of light. Cruisers moved to block every escape route. Battleships aimed their supercannons, charging energy that could destroy moons. The trap snapped shut around the Blackstar. The dreadnought did not flee. Its black hull glowed faintly as its systems awakened. The hidden ports along its sides lit up one by one, like the slow opening of a predator's many eyes. A hum vibrated across the void, so deep it shook the instruments of alien ships. Then, without a word, the Blackstar struck. The first blast tore through an entire squadron of fighters, erasing them before their pilots could react. The second cut a battleship in half, splitting its glowing engines apart like fragile glass. Panic rushed through the comms. Officers shouted orders. Captains screamed warnings, but nothing slowed the dreadnought's precision. The coalition fired back. Thousands of weapons unleashed their fury. Beams, rockets, plasma, and rail fire slammed into the Blackstar from every direction. Explosions blinded the battlefield. The dreadnought vanished inside a storm of fire. For a heartbeat, the Armada believed it had won. Then the fire cleared. The Blackstar was still there. Its armor smoked, glowing red-hot in places, but its weapons kept firing without pause. It moved forward through the storm, undeterred, unstoppable, like a mountain walking. Across the stars, fear spread like poison. "It doesn't die," screamed one captain before his ship was vaporized. "It knows where we move," cried another as his fleet was torn apart. The dreadnought's shots never missed, always striking the weakest points, always breaking the tightest formations. Carriers tried to retreat, but the Blackstar targeted them first. One by one, the massive vessels exploded, taking thousands of fighters with them. Cruisers attempted suicide runs, slamming their ships against the dreadnought's hull. They shattered like glass, breaking apart before even scratching the armor. The key. Supreme Admiral shouted over the chaos, "Hold the line, numbers will win." But numbers meant nothing. The Blackstar cut through the fleet like a blade through cloth. Its engines roared as it surged straight into the Armada's heart, weapons firing in every direction. For the first time in history, the largest fleet ever assembled began to collapse. Ships broke formation, captains abandoned orders, and entire squadrons fled. The Supreme Admiral could only watch as discipline dissolved into terror. His grand armada, meant to humble humanity, was shattering before his eyes. The dreadnought showed no mercy. It did not chase those who fled. It only advanced, step by step, through the core of the fleet. Everywhere it moved, silence followed. No distress calls, no survivors, only wreckage. On one carrier's bridge, a young alien officer whispered in horror, "This is not war. This is slaughter." His words were never heard. Seconds later, the Blackstar's cannons reduced the carrier to dust. Finally, the Supreme Admiral's flagship came face to face with the Terran monster. His ship was massive, bristling with weapons, a floating fortress, said to be indestructible. He stared at the Blackstar on his screen, sweat dripping down his brow. "I will not run," he said through clenched teeth. "If this is how I die, then I will die as a warrior." The Blackstar turned toward him. One single beam erupted from its hull, brighter than a sun. It struck the flagship's shields, tearing them apart like paper. The next shot pierced through its armored heart. In silence, the great fortress shattered, breaking into 1,000 burning pieces. The Coalition Armada, the greatest fleet the galaxy had ever seen, was gone. Only the Blackstar remained, gliding through the debris field, silent as ever. It sent no signal. It left no survivors. It simply moved forward, its engines glowing cold and bright. And across the galaxy, a new truth burned in every heart. If the Blackstar could break the greatest armada, then nothing could stop it. The battlefield was gone, but its memory lingered like a scar across the galaxy. Where once the greatest armada had stood proud, only silence remained. Wreckage drifted endlessly in the void, glowing faintly like tombstones under distant suns. The USS Blackstar had left nothing behind but ashes and ghosts. But the true weapon of the dreadnought was not its cannons nor its armor. It was fear. And now that fear began to spread. News traveled faster than ships. Survivors, broken and trembling, carried the truth with them as they fled to distant colonies. They told stories of a black monster that swallowed entire fleets. They whispered of its silence, of its precision, of how every shot struck like the finger of death. They said it did not chase, it did not speak. It simply advanced, leaving nothing alive in its path. In alien markets, merchants dropped their goods to argue in panic. "It cannot be real," shouted one. "No ship can destroy. Thousands alone." But another leaned close, his voice a trembling whisper. "It is real. My cousin fought there. He sent one message before the Blackstar cut the fleet apart. We are already dead." Soldiers muttered the name like a curse. Generals tore apart maps, unsure how to prepare defenses. On frontier worlds, citizens abandoned cities overnight, fleeing into deep space before the shadow of the Blackstar could fall upon them. In the palaces of rulers, debates turned to terror. Some leaders argued for surrender, begging to open talks with Earth before it was too late. Others shouted that surrender was weakness, that they must fight on. But every voice that demanded war grew quieter each time new reports arrived. Fleets gone, stations erased, resistance swallowed whole. The galaxy was not just losing battles, it was losing hope. The fear did not stay among leaders. It seeped into the hearts of common people. Children woke screaming at night, whispering that the Blackstar was coming. Farmers refused to plant their fields, afraid their harvest would never be eaten. Priests declared that humanity's ship was not a weapon, but a punishment sent by the stars themselves. And through it all, Earth remained silent. No broadcasts came from humanity. No diplomat explained why the dreadnought had returned. No commander sent demands. The silence was worse than threats. Every alien wondered, if one Blackstar was awake, how many more waited in the dark? Was this only the beginning? In hidden corners of the galaxy, old veterans began to speak. They remembered the first war with humanity. They had fought the Terrans, seen the dreadnoughts long ago. Their voices cracked as they warned the young. "We thought humans wanted peace, but peace was only waiting. When they fight, they do not stop until nothing stands." One such veteran recorded a message that spread across thousands of systems. "You cannot reason with them. You cannot trap them. They are not like us. A Terran dreadnought does not wage war. It ends it. And when it moves, it leaves no survivors." His words became legend, repeated in hushed tones in every port, every station, every home. The panic grew so strong that some empires began destroying their own fleets, fearing that if the Blackstar found them armed, it would strike. Others abandoned entire planets, loading citizens into refugee ships and fleeing into the dark. The galaxy was not at war anymore. The galaxy was running. On one outer world, a frightened governor sent a desperate message to Earth. "Please, we surrender. We will never fight you again. Only call off your monster." The message was met with silence. Hours later, that colony received word. The Blackstar had been sighted only 2 systems away. The governor and his people fled before the dreadnought even arrived. The Blackstar never chased them. It didn't need to. Its legend moved faster than its engines. Entire worlds surrendered without ever seeing it. Entire fleets dissolved before ever facing its guns. Fear had become its greatest weapon. On a neutral station, a young officer sat in the mess hall, staring at the stars through a viewport. His hands shook as he whispered to his companion, "It doesn't even speak, do you understand? It doesn't say why it fights, it doesn't ask for surrender, it doesn't care. It just moves forward. How do you fight something like that?" His companion had no answer. No one did. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy was united in fear. Empires that had fought each other for centuries now looked to Earth, waiting for the next move, wondering if they were already too late. Some whispered of rebellion, some whispered of surrender, but most only prayed to survive. The Blackstar glided on, leaving wreckage in its wake, but its silence was louder than any cannon. Every passing day, its shadow grew larger. Every passing day, more voices whispered the same truth. The galaxy had laughed at humans once. Now they trembled. Because if one dreadnought could do this, then humanity was not just another species. They were patient slayers, and the fear of the Blackstar would never fade. The galaxy waited in silence. From one end of the stars to the other, Rulers and citizens alike held their breath. The USS Blackstar had cut through fleets, burned carriers, and shattered the greatest armada ever assembled. Yet through it all, it had spoken nothing. No signal, no warning, no demand. Just silence and destruction. That silence terrified the galaxy more than any weapon. Every empire wondered, why? Why had the humans released such a monster again? Why now, after so many years of peace? In palace halls, kings argued with trembling voices. Perhaps it is rogue. Perhaps the humans lost control, one ruler claimed. But another, older and wiser, shook his head. Humans do not lose control. They wait, they plan, and when they act, it is never by accident. The galaxy feared the answer. And then, one day it came. The Blackstar had just finished erasing a small fleet near a border world. The survivors fled expecting the same silence, but instead, their comms lit up. A message pulsed across every channel, not just to them but across the entire galaxy. It was short, cold, human. This war ends now. The galaxy will learn peace, or extinction. The words echoed in every language, translated by systems that could not block the signal. On every screen, across every ship, in every home, those words repeated. 14 syllables, spoken without emotion, without rage, without mercy. Peace or extinction. The meaning was clear. Humanity was not negotiating. They were not asking. They were commanding. In the capital of one alien empire, panic filled the Grand Council chamber. Ministers shouted at each other. They cannot dictate terms, one cried. We will not kneel. But another slammed his fist on the table. Then you will burn. Have you not seen what one ship has done? Do you think they have only one? Do you think they are finished? Rumors spread quickly after the message. Some said the Blackstar was not alone, that more dreadnoughts waited in the shadows, hidden in black fleets ready to strike. Others claimed humanity had built planet killers, weapons that could erase suns. No proof existed, but fear did not need proof. Fear only needed a voice, and the Blackstar's silence had finally been broken. Across frontier worlds, people surrendered, before the dreadnought even appeared. Cities raised Terran flags above their domes, hoping the humans would spare them. Priests rewrote their prayers, placing humanity alongside gods. Children whispered the words in terror, peace or extinction. The galaxy began to fracture under its own fear. Armies deserted their posts. Some rulers secretly sent envoys toward Earth, begging for mercy. Others plotted rebellions against their neighbors, hoping to sacrifice someone else to save themselves. But no one could escape the shadow of the message. For ordinary soldiers who had fought the Blackstar, the words cut deeper than any blade. They remembered how it fought, with silence, with precision, with endless patience. Now they knew why. The dreadnought was not fighting a war, it was enforcing a law. Humanity had decided the galaxy would obey, or be erased. In one distant system, a young officer listened to the message again and again, his hands shaking. Why do they speak of peace while they slaughter us? He asked. His commander, an older veteran, closed his eyes. Because this is their peace. They warned us once, long ago. We did not listen. Now they do not warn. They command. The Blackstar itself did not repeat the message. After the broadcast, it returned to silence, gliding forward through space, leaving only destruction behind. But the words continued to echo in every heart. And soon, a chilling truth dawned on the galaxy. This was only the first message. If the humans had chosen to speak once, they could speak again. And if they did, what would they say next? Was this a final warning? Or was this only the beginning of something far worse? Some began to hope. They clung to the idea that maybe the humans would stop after the message, that the Blackstar would vanish again as suddenly as it had returned. Others were certain the worst was yet to come, that the dreadnought's silence now meant humanity was watching, measuring, deciding who would live and who would burn. On the edge of a dead system, where wreckage still glowed from the last battle, a survivor whispered to himself as he drifted in an escape pod. The Blackstar does not fight for war. It fights for the word of its masters. And its masters have spoken. His voice broke as he repeated the human words. Peace, or extinction. The galaxy was no longer asking what the Blackstar was. It was asking something far more terrifying. How many Blackstars were there, and when would the others awaken? The galaxy was no longer at war, not because treaties had been signed, not because peace had been negotiated, but because silence had fallen. Silence brought by the shadow of one ship, the USS Blackstar. Worlds that once boasted fleets now floated quiet, their hangars empty. Stations that had sworn loyalty to alien rulers now carried Terran flags, raised not by choice but by fear. Armies melted away before battles even began. It was not the Blackstar's weapons that ended the war. It was the legend that followed. Wherever it drifted, the message still echoed in every mind. Peace or extinction. And though humanity said no more, the dreadnought itself continued its slow march through the stars, leaving a trail of ruins. On one border world, citizens packed their lives into ships and fled before the dreadnought even arrived. Families abandoned. Cities leaving behind food, machines, and homes, all in terror of a shadow they had never seen. By the time the Blackstar reached their orbit, the planet was already empty. No resistance, no voices, only silence. The dreadnought did not stop. It did not conquer. It simply passed by, its black hull glowing faintly against the starlight, engines burning with cold fire. It was a shadow that moved without rest, reminding all who watched that one day it could appear above their skies. In the halls of power, rulers trembled. They met in secret councils, voices shaking as they debated. "We cannot live like this," one leader said. "Every system waits for death. We must know what the humans want." Another, pale and broken, whispered, "They already told us. Peace or extinction. Those are the only choices." Some tried to resist still. Proud empires that believed themselves untouchable launched desperate fleets, hoping numbers would do what courage could not. None returned. The Blackstar left their wreckage drifting in silence as if mocking the very idea of defiance. Others bent the knee completely. They sent envoys across the stars, begging Earth for forgiveness. They offered tribute, fleets, even their own heirs as signs of loyalty. But Earth remained silent. No answer came. Humanity did not explain. They did not comfort. They simply let the Blackstar move, system by system, until all understood. The galaxy's maps began to change. Borders dissolved. Whole regions marked, themselves neutral, unwilling to risk angering the Terrans. Once great empires shrank, their leaders whispering that survival was more important than pride. And still, through it all, the Blackstar kept moving. It was not hunting fleets anymore. It was not destroying armies. It was showing the galaxy something worse: inevitability. On the deck of a neutral station, a child asked her father, "Why don't they stop? Why don't they go home?" The father looked out at the stars, fear heavy in his eyes. "Because, little one, the Blackstar has no home. It is home to fear itself. It goes where it must, until the galaxy learns." Legends began to form. Some said the Blackstar was crewed by ghosts, the dead of Earth guiding it through the void. Others swore its AI was alive, watching and judging all who dared fight. A few believed it was not one ship at all, but the first of many, silent predators waiting for humanity's call. In time, no one knew what was true anymore. All they knew was the truth left behind in its trail. Wherever the Blackstar went, nothing survived. And so, the galaxy changed. Not by treaties, not by peace conferences, but by fear. Entire civilizations adjusted their lives around the possibility of the dreadnought's arrival. Farmers worked in silence, soldiers trained not for war but for surrender, and rulers prayed each night that the Blackstar would pass them by. On one dying world, as the ship drifted into orbit, The people gathered in their last city. They did not fight. They did not resist. Instead, they looked to the sky and waited. The dreadnought hung above them, engines glowing faintly, its black frame covering the horizon. And then, slowly, it moved on, leaving the city untouched. The people wept, not in joy but in terror, knowing they had been spared for now but not forever. The war had ended, but peace had not truly come. Only fear remained. For the galaxy now understood a truth too late. Humanity had never been weak. They had never been peacekeepers. They had been patient. They had built monsters in the silence of their worlds, and when the time was right, they had unleashed them. The Blackstar was not a ship. It was a message, a promise. And as it vanished into the deep void once more, its engines leaving a faint trail of cold light, the galaxy whispered the words that would haunt them for generations. Nothing survives its trail.